broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 49 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. No Damon again this week. We missed Damon. Damon says hi to everybody. But Trevor, we finally accomplished something that it took us 49 episodes to get to. 48, I guess. Let's say 48.
So I'm impressed.
Yeah, you're impressed, right? We made it this far.
And really, we shouldn't be... Like, this isn't an achievement, first of all. like, let's make that clear.
That's fair. Yeah. And so what we're referring to is we've made people angry.
Yes. And I guess not... I mean, they're not really angry at us, but it's, you know, we said some things that really we didn't take enough time to look into the subject, and that's our own fault. So
and truthfully, we weren't as careful with our words as we could have been. And, you know, just so everybody knows, you know, we'll pull back the curtain on this thing. We're not, you know, we share all sorts of things with you guys that are going on behind the scenes here. But, you know, when we do the show, we try to simplify things to the easiest way to talk about things. And, you know, also doing a podcast, I don't know if you guys know this, not that easy. I mean, we put topics out there and you just say stuff and sometimes it doesn't come off the best way. So
yeah. And further to that, this isn't a full-time job for either of us. So so we will admit up front that, you know, we do this purely out of passion and out of the fact that, you know, we love Disney and DVC and all that. Yeah. But we, like, you know, having full-time jobs and all that, we don't necessarily dig into the finer nuances of various things that go on. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so what we're referring to is we talked the last episode quite a bit about the 2020 point reallocation for DVC, and we had kind of boiled it down to people were upset about it because they weren't going to be able to book a studio with the points that they had bought for a week anymore because of the reallocation, which is true. There are people that are upset for that reason, but we didn't represent another group of people that were upset about this as well, which, you know, the hardcore DVC fan would know a little bit more about this. So, and I was aware about this topic. I don't know if you were, Trevor, because I know you're a little bit of a fairly newer member, but I just read a lot of stuff and I just noticed this before. But
I knew the terms, but honestly, I hadn't looked into it that deep. You're right. It was kind of one of those things that I had heard of it, but I never really looked into it. So yeah, that's
okay. Yeah. And so what some of the listeners that wrote in, and by the way, thank you guys for writing in. We always say we want feedback, whether it's positive or negative. And, you know, we appreciate you calling us out on this because obviously this was a blind spot for us. We didn't discuss this as we should have. And so we want to make sure we remedy that today. And so one of the things that a lot of the members were upset with is the 2020 point reallocation. My goodness. Increase what's called the lock-off premium. So a lot of people might be like, what is the lock-off premium? I don't know what you're talking about. What is a lock-off? What is that? I don't even know what that means. And you wouldn't be alone in that. There's a lot of DVC members that see the word lock-off for the first time and go, I don't know what that is. And to be fair, Disney doesn't really explain it. So.
This is advanced DVC techniques that we're talking about here for getting rooms.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna read to you guys, and I don't like just reading stuff, but in order to make sure I get all of this correct and do this the right way, there is a wonderful article about the lock-off premium on dvcnews.com. They're a really great source for DVC stuff, but this is a really well-written article that they put out there, and they know what they're talking about on this site. So I'm actually just going to kind of read this to you, you know, skipping around a little bit, but just to kind of tell you guys what this is all about and kind of show you why some of these folks were upset about the lock-off premium. So Disney Vacation Club resorts offer a mix of accommodation types that members can reserve during, including deluxe studio villas, one-bedroom vacation homes, and two-bedroom vacation homes. At most DVC resorts, there are, quote, dedicated two-bedroom vacation homes, which can only be booked as a two-bedroom. Other rooms are configured with an interior connecting door between the one-bedroom portion of the room, including the master suite, kitchen, and living room, and the studio-sized second bedroom. these rooms are referred to as lock-offs. So now, if you've seen that term lock-off before out there, that's what that means. It's basically, it's like a studio connected to a one-bedroom, basically. Think of it that way. So 2-bedroom villas, so these rooms are referred to as lock-off 2-bedroom villas because the component studio and the 1-bedroom units may be locked off and reserved to separate parties. So if somebody doesn't need the 2-bedroom, they could also reserve that as 2 separate rooms. They could have a studio and a 1-bedroom, or they could have it as 1 2-bedroom. Hope that makes sense to everybody. So DVC home resort rules and regulations state that lock-off 2-bedroom vacation homes and dedicated 2-bedroom vacation homes have the same vacation point reservation values. However, the studio and 1-bedroom vacation homes and a lock-off 2-bedroom that are separately reserved may have a higher reservation value than they would if combined as a 2-bedroom vacation home. Everybody got me so far? If Damon were on the podcast right now, he would be typing Z. He'd be asleep by now, but this is important for us. We want to cover this. So
yes,
in 2019, Disney's Beach Club Villas has lock-off premiums ranging from 12.2% to 19.8% depending on the season. During the Magic season, it costs 350 points to book a lock-off 2-bedroom for a week. But if booked separately, the studio portion costs 134 points and the 1-bedroom costs 269 points. The difference between those is 53 points, or about 15.1% above the cost of the 2-bedroom. That's the lock-off premium. I hope that makes sense to everybody, because it's an important thing to note, because when we talk about, basically the idea of when DVC raises points on some rooms, they have to lower them on other rooms, it's mostly true, okay? Because there are these separate lock-off points that are used for things like breakage. There's a variety of different things they can use them for. So, if a room is if something happens to a room, they can take that out of the inventory, that type of thing. But due to the lock-off premium, it can require more points to book a resort for the entire year than has been allotted for that resort. So Beach Club Villas has 36 dedicated studios, 20 dedicated 1-bedrooms, 78 2-bedrooms, and 74 lock-off 2-bedrooms. In 2019, if all the lock-off 2-bedroom vacation homes were reserved as 2-bedrooms, it would require 3,027,300 points to book the entire resort. However, if all of the lock-off 2-bedrooms are booked instead as studios and 1-bedrooms, it'll require 3,219,058 points to book the entire resort. So it's a difference of 191,758. So that's a good example. So you can kind of see what that difference is. Now, I should point out really quickly here that this is something that has gone on since the beginning of points existing. So since the beginning of DVC, there's always been a lock-off premium, as long as there's been lock-off rooms. Let me point that out before someone says, well, wait a second. There weren't in the beginning. But no, so as long as there have been lock-offs, this has been here. But what people were upset about is that the original 2020 points would have had the lock-off premium rise quite a bit. So the charts would have introduced increases in cost for studios and 1-bedrooms and decreases in the cost of 2-bedrooms. As a result, Beach Club, for example, lock-off premium in the Magic season would have jumped from 53 points to 76 points. So from 15% to 23%. So I hope this makes sense to everybody. I know I'm talking really fast because we don't want to. It's not that we don't want to take up a lot of the podcast doing this, but we want to. Obviously, there's a lot of other things to talk about too. But this is a topic that we wanted to make sure that everybody understood, and there's those out there that were upset about this because they felt like this was robbing some buying power from members when there's all these excess points, basically. And just so you know, the excess points, what those go to, they create an inventory of vacation homes that can only be reserved by guests who are not owners of, in this case, Beach Club. These guests will either be DVC members of other resorts that book Beach Club, when the non-home resort reservation window opens at 7 months, or there'll be cash guests that book excess inventory. So another place where people are a little upset about this, when they have this breakage income, right? So they have basically this inventory. The owners don't necessarily benefit from it, right? And so if Disney rents this inventory to cash guests during the breakage period, owners may receive part of the rental income in the form of breakage income, right? So basically, other owners are renting these rooms out. I mean, other owners are getting these rooms, or cash. I almost say cash donations. Cash reservations are coming in. Basically, some of that is paid back to the owners there. It's only about 2.5%. It's only 2.5%. It's the maximum allowable amount, so they can only do 2.5% back to us. So it's not like it's a lot, and then the rest of it is pure profit for Disney. So all of that money outside of 2.5% is pure profit for Disney. So that's a lot of what people were objecting to and felt that it was kind of a power grab by Disney at the expense of the owners, right? Reducing kind of our the value of our points. So I can see why people would be upset about that.
And in a very obscure way too, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Well,
in a way that most members would not pay attention to, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So and that's why this is, the people that wrote us in, they definitely feel like they express their concerns about this increase in the lock-off premium. I can't talk tonight. this increase in the lock-off premium. And they spoke a lot about it to DVC management, and they felt that their feedback was pretty much instrumental in the reversal of the 2020 point reallocation. So, and I mean, I can't speak to what their motivations were, but it definitely seems like that they had some sort of impact there since they went back on it. So, yeah. So I know I just read that really quickly, but if you want to know more about this, dvcnews.com, there's a great article about it. Read it.
Yeah, I would suggest when we post this, let's link that. Link that as well, just so that people can see what we're talking about. Because obviously, going over all of this, we're just really, covering it over very quickly. But it is worth reading if you're interested in understanding how these things are happening. Because like even Tom said earlier, we've said this many times before. We're not DVC experts. I'm still fairly new to DVC. We're still learning a lot. So this is a good way to understand these things, even if you don't use them. It's a good thing to at least know that it's there, because when these situations come up, it helps muddy the waters a little less for us.
I mean, or if you want to, you can just continue being a DVC member and not worrying about these things if you don't want to. Yeah. I mean, I know if Damon were here, he'd be like, I don't care. You know what I mean? He would just be like, can I still book a resort? Yeah. Okay, fine.
That's true. I mean, I guess part of it is all of us, we're all in DVC for our own reasons, right? It's not that we all have to know this inside and out, but I don't know. It's a hard line to walk, right?
Sure.
I know for myself, I want to know a lot of this stuff, but also I don't necessarily have the time to go in and dig into some of these things necessarily. And it does take events like these, I guess, to kind of bring these things to light. And for the next time this kind of thing does come around, hopefully there won't be a next time. But when these situations arise, I think it's good just to have, even just a light understanding of these things. Because, the whole thing about, lock off rooms, to me, for me personally, it's like, and I'm sure for you, Tom, as well, it's like, I'm never going to book a lock off. I don't see myself ever being in a situation where I will need that big of a space, but
sure,
I know that there is other members out there that do. So, I mean, and I guess to kind of go back to, what we said on the previous podcast is, we weren't thinking about everybody's situation when we were making assumptions. So that's on us.
We were honestly just, I mean, Trevor and I are part of a lot of DVC groups. The main complaint that we saw was that people were upset that they weren't able to book studios anymore with their points. And that's just what we saw. So that's what we reported. But obviously there was a group of folks that were also upset about the lock-off premium, and totally valid concern. I get it. And thank you for expressing your concerns to DVC about that, because obviously it benefited everybody else as well. But for us, we like I said, we were just kind of reporting what we saw. And I mean, I think I maybe saw one person complain about the lock-off premium piece in one of the groups, but it was mostly like, oh, I can't book a studio anymore with a week. So and that's the thing. We have all sorts of different places where we get our stuff, right? So there's some message boards out there that are hardcore DVC members that talk about these things all the time, and so on that board, that was their main concern, and so we didn't represent that properly. So we apologize. We don't want to make anybody mad on the show. We want everybody to enjoy listening to it and have a good time. It's not about being condescending to anybody or not taking into account anybody's feelings on these things. So
Yeah, and really at the end of the day, I think it's just we just want to learn more about DVC, and we just want to talk about DVC. I think at the end of the day, like it's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Our agenda is not complex. I would say
We're basic.
we're simple folk.
We're simple folk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. So, but again, thank you guys for writing in and for throwing that out to us, because we obviously, like I said, that was a blind spot for us, and and I apologize for covering this topic really quickly and talking really fast. I know people have complained to me before that I talk too fast, and I get that. But, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and we don't want the podcast to be 2.5 hours. So,
Yeah.
So please, like I said, if you want more details, check out that article on DVC News. It is excellent. It covers everything about this, and we'll plug the heck out of them because they have a lot of good things about DVC on there. So check them out, and you can read more about this in more detail and try to understand it more. And if there's questions about it, if you have questions about it after you read the article, shoot us an email. We can cover it on another episode. We can get a little more in depth with it, maybe. So. Great.
Yeah.
So that was our 15-minute apology.
Yeah. And so let's change gears a little bit here, and this Copper Creek thing is kind of surprising to me. So
are you talking about the weird rooms that they have?
No. Well, more so the fact that Copper Creek is almost fully declared, and the only reason that this. It shouldn't be, or I don't know if it's surprising to me, but I figured that Aulani would be further along than Copper Creek at this point, because Copper Creek is a newer resort. Like when I was looking at buying into DVC, Copper Creek was just coming up. Or
did they push Aulani on you too? Like when you tried to buy, like did they bring up Aulani or no?
Yeah, they brought up when I was looking, there was Polynesian was still available. Aulani and Copper Creek, I think, I don't know if it was quite available yet, but I know it was coming up quick.
Okay.
But yeah, Aulani's been there for a while, and I guess I thought that this wouldn't, or well, I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Because Copper Creek is still in Florida, whereas Aulani is an external one, right? So I guess they won't necessarily sell out as fast.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same reason why like the Hilton Head contracts and the Vero Beach contracts aren't as popular. You see them on resale market all the time. Mm-hmm. I maybe just, I don't know if that's just because of you can get the points a little bit cheaper, or because they're outside of the Disney World bubble. But I could see that. But I mean, this is I feel like Copper Creek is such a prime location, and it's such a nice resort. I've said many times on the show that Wilderness Lodge is just about my favorite resort, and I kind of laugh sometimes when I see people post pictures and they go Copper Creek, and I'm like, no, you're Wilderness Lodge though. like it's just a section, it's just kind of part of it. But it is Copper Creek, I know. But but there were some interesting things I thought about this. So. Basically added to the inventory for DVC members were 5 dedicated 2-bedrooms, 2 lock-off 2-bedrooms, 1 dedicated 1-bedroom, 1 dedicated studio, and 1 grand villa. Okay, and these vacation homes are located on the 2nd floor of the DVC wing in the lodge and face Boulder Ridge Cove Pool. What I thought was interesting about this, though, there's a couple interesting things in here. Well, first of all, Copper Creek now has 171 of its 184 vacation homes declared to DVC. So that's good. It's moving in the right direction. That's for sure. But where was the thing? I'm reading an article there. Again, this is from DVC News. There was an interesting thing about a weird accommodation type. Where was it?
Let me see if I can.
Included in the declared accommodations are 7 studios with larger alternate configuration that includes a living room area. Which is, I didn't even know that existed at Copper Creek. I just learned that in this. So that obviously was out there already because some of those were declared already, but I just thought that was interesting they have a studio with like a living room area.
Now, hold on, let me see if they have a map of this or not. Did they post a map or no?
Yeah, there's a map. Well, there's like a schematic type of looking thing.
Right, but that's more like where the rooms are, not the configuration of the rooms, though, right?
Yeah, but like if you look on the end, you can kind of see it looks like it's an end room. It's like a corner room.
Well, yeah, okay, so that maybe that's why, because yeah, it is the corner, and they just
Yeah.
either they had extra space or not enough space. I guess here's the question: is if it's an alternate configuration, is it giving you more or less space than a standard studio?
I think it's giving you more
Hmm.
based on what I'm seeing. So you got to love those corner rooms.
Yeah. And
So I wanted to point out too. So about 92.8% of the resort's total points have been declared at this point. So not a ton of Copper Creek left. You know, it's almost
yeah,
almost
well,
done.
it's almost like they have a new resort that is going to be available here shortly.
I also there was another article on DVC News here that it was a strong sales month, a direct sales month in January for DVC, and I was like, I guess I'm surprised. I mean, maybe there were a lot of people. So January is typically a strong month for direct sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe there were a lot of people that were waiting for Riviera, and then the whole resale rule thing happened, and they were like, I'm not going to do that, and then just decided to buy Copper Creek or Alani or whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like that was kind of my reasoning for why I bought more points at the Poly as well, is, just getting grandfathered in so that you have the flexibility of, looking at any of the 14 resorts and Riviera and anything that comes after that versus, waiting for Riviera. But then even though if you buy direct with Riviera, you're still getting that access, but but it changes the resale though, right? So
it does, yeah.
So I think that may have skewed some people's decisions on when to buy in or not.
It's interesting though, and I think we've maybe mentioned this before, but I know a lot of people that have DVC that never stay outside of their home resort. So I could see some people buying into Riviera and not having an issue with the fact that, if it were resale, you couldn't stay anywhere else. Because I don't know. I mean, there are some people that just like to stay at Saratoga Springs every time they go, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the nice thing about DVC, right?
Yeah, I mean, there neither way is wrong. So far,
no, of course not.
If you asked my wife, as far as she's concerned, we're going to stay at the Polynesian for the next 50 years. I don't necessarily
47 years, 40, 46?
50-ish years.
Yeah, 50-ish.
I don't agree with her necessarily because, I'm kind of that opinion, like yourself and Damon, that, I want to go explore the other resorts, but right now I'm okay just staying at the Polynesian. But I know, even as far as staying at the Riviera, my thinking on that is with, Star Wars Land, with all the new things that are coming, to Hollywood Studios and to Epcot, there may be a point where I decide that I don't necessarily want to be near Magic Kingdom with the Polynesian. It might make more sense to actually stay at, Riviera, Beach Club, Boardwalk, one of those resorts, because they're all central to the other two parks, right?
Yeah, that's I think I joked on the last episode that the Star Wars premium. That's Riviera's going to have the Star Wars premium, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is you could buy into Riviera when they release points here, and I mean it's not a bad prime location. The only problem is if you go to resell it, the kind of people looking to buy it would have to be people of those mindset that they're not going to stay anywhere else.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the only problem with buying Riviera, unfortunately. But with Copper Creek, and this is the thing, I guess anybody listening to this, if you're still on the fence about it, if you buy into Copper Creek directly right now, you're still going to get access to Riviera, although it won't be at the 11th month mark, which
no.
I struggle with the whole 11th month thing because I see a lot of people talking about, they can't find anything at 7 months, but
I've never run into that.
Yeah, it's hard to disconnect from that, right? It's hard to disconnect from, you're on Facebook, you're on whatever forums that you're reading, and really you're reading of, one or two people that are having an issue. But I guess how many hundreds, thousands more people are just, booking stuff and going, it's fine.
Exactly. I mean, I just booked a trip for June, a week ago.
Okay, so it's January.
An entire week. Yeah, I mean, like,
yeah.
So it's, less than 7 months out. I mean, given it's initially it was at Saratoga, now it's at Old Key West, and those are the easiest ones to get into. But, there were other options available. I could have stayed other places if I wanted to spend more points, which I did not. But, there were other options there at, 5 months out. So, I mean, I've always felt like, and it kind of what you're saying, it's funny because sometimes you see things on Facebook and it's like one person says something and it feels like everybody feels that way when it's really just one out of thousands, right? It's like thousands of people had a great experience doing that and one person, and then it's like, oh no, it's a huge problem because this one person said something. And so, but there are, and this is, please don't send angry emails again to us about people that can't get inventory. You can't get reservations because of the inventory. That's the next one we're going to get, Trevor. People are going to be like, I can never book anything.
Well, here's the thing is, I do sympathize with that, but
I do too.
I need, we need to just check. We need to check the concept here that, one person having issues does not constitute a larger issue, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and then sometimes you'll see I've been trying to book Boardwalk Standard Studio, and it's like, okay, well, you're going to have a hard time with that because there's only 20 of those. Yeah. Right. So, and I think that's part of why, I like doing the show too, because we can tell people that. A lot of people don't realize that there's only 20 of those studios. So you're going to have a much better chance if you go for the pool or garden view at Boardwalk than the standard. But unless you knew that, I mean, you would just think that there's it's impossible to get that room. Well, it is impossible to get that room because there's not that many of them.
Mm-hmm. So, well, and yeah, and like I said though, the problem is that it skews your perception, right?
Totally.
Though hearing those things, people hear that, well, I can't get a studio in whatever place, and they assume that that's the case across the board. I guess your experience, my experience, again, it's all anecdotal. It's
exactly.
I can't say as an expert, that I've had enough trips to DVC to say, oh yeah, it's fine, don't ever worry about it. But I guess I'm just one of those people that I take these things with a grain of salt, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't know how we got really off the rails on this.
Yeah,
one.
we kind of got sidetracked on that. The end result of this is, if you want Copper Creek, you should probably buy it now.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Did we talk about the fact that you passed right of first refusal? Did we talk about it on the last show? I don't remember.
Well, no.
Or did that happen in between?
Yeah, that happened after the last show. I posted about it. I got a lot of congratulations on right of first refusals. Yeah, so for those that may have missed it, few episodes ago, actually it was back in January, when I put in my bid on a contract, it did make it through right of first refusal. I'm actually working on the closing documents right now, so we have actually gotten, or we're moving through the process and everything, and yeah, so we're excited about that, because that just means we have more points available to play with all these new resorts and everything coming up. So
yeah, exactly. And you got in before the deadline, so that was good.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. And again, that, going back to, things like Copper Creek everything selling really quickly, that was what pushed us over the edge, because we were thinking about buying more points, but when we saw that they were changing the rules, we sped up our timeline on that and said, yeah, we're going to do this right now. So,
and that's why DVC Resale Market sold 400 some contracts in January.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Rightfully so. But
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation to talk about. All these points being declared, because I don't think that people realize that until the points are kind of there's inventory that isn't available to DVC members yet. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week with the Riviera discussion, where people were upset. They're like, why do cash people get to book? And it's like, well, because we don't own anything there yet.
Yeah. It's the declaration is what needs to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, and that's part of that. And so, DVC members haven't had access to the whole inventory at Copper Creek yet, because it hasn't all been declared yet. So as that happens, you get more and more inventory. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So this next thing I put in here, I kind of think this is a DVC story. I don't know about you, but I think it's a DVC story.
I think this matters. I think this matters to anybody looking to stay at Bay Lake Tower because I you know, it's weird. When I first heard about Bay Lake Tower, I was kind of like when I was looking around the different resorts, I was like, I don't think I want to stay there. It doesn't seem very interesting. But that walkway to Magic Kingdom, that's kind of a big thing.
It's so I everyone that listens to the show, you know, that have listened for a while, I own at Bay Lake, right? And so and truthfully, contemporary like in Bay Lake, not really my style. Just being honest. However, the one time I did stay at my home resort, that walk to Magic Kingdom was the greatest thing ever. I mean, we basically went to Magic Kingdom every night because you end up where Epcot closes at 9:00. You go back to your resort and it's like, well, wait, Magic Kingdom's got extra magic hours till 2 a.m. Why don't we just walk over and, you know, or just go walk over and check out the fireworks, you know? It's one of those things where it's so convenient and nice to be able to walk over there, even though you've been walking 9 to 10 miles a day and your feet hurt. It's and you don't really want to walk anywhere else.
It's just 5 minutes away. It's so
I know. It's like I could see Space Mountain from here. It's close. Yeah. But what we're referring to is those that have stayed at Bay Lake Tower, and you know, ever since they changed the security procedures back in 2017. That walkway from Bay Lake Tower to Magic Kingdom had its own little security station for you to clear through security, and then you could just basically walk right to the gates to go in. And so they've filed permits now to enhance this because, truthfully, before it was kind of like, you know, they threw up a card table and you know, like it was very temporary looking. So now they're going to build an actual checkpoint, which I think is great.
Yeah, and hopefully the idea behind that is that, you know, the temporary thing when it's busy, it just makes it much more painful to get through security, right? Yep. So exactly. Hopefully with them actually getting a proper security checkpoint in, it means that, you know, they'll get people through quicker. Like it, you know, kind of like at Transportation Ticket Center, they've got it, you know, they got it set up well enough that, you know, the amount of people that move through there is quite amazing. Like it happens pretty fast. Yeah. One side note to this, I kind of wish that they would do something similar at Epcot when you get off the monorail, because that's been I think that's the next one when they're done with this one at Bay Lake Tower, and I'm sure this is, you know, even going back from 2017, they've just been, it's been on the books kind of thing, but I hope that they take a good hard look at Epcot, because Epcot security checkpoints really need some loving.
Trying to say that's a hot mess is what you're trying to say.
In the nicest possible way. It had, and for me, it's very fresh in my mind because we were there and we actually went to Epcot 2 days on our last trip. And that was, none of our experiences with security were negative. Like don't get me wrong. I don't hate security. I appreciate what they do. You know, anybody who works security at Disney, you know, I always make sure I say thank you to them. And, you know, if any of you are listening to this, like, thank you, because it's, you know, it's a hard job. And the
especially
Epcot
at Epcot
one,
with all the people drinking.
The Epcot, like the main entrance to Epcot, that it was the worst experience I've had with security. And it was just because they how they funnel everyone in, right? Like it's not thought out. Yeah.
No, it's not efficient. And I would like to think that, you know, there's been rumors forever now that they're going to be changing that whole opening area to, like, you know, they're going to maybe getting rid of the with those legacy things. Oh gosh, I forget what they're called.
People call them the tombstones. Yeah,
the tombstones. Yeah,
the family.
Is it Leave a Legacy? Is that what it was?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, the pictures on the large stone monuments.
I crack up every time because I just go and look at those. And I'm like, you can't even see people's faces. Like it looks terrible. Like how would you even know which one is yours? But neither here nor there. But I would think that when they reimagine the front of Epcot, I would think that that's one of the things that they're going to fix. You know, there was an article a while ago that I read that Disney's really concentrating a lot on the entrance experience, which sounds like a weird thing, but like how, you know, what it looks like when you're entering the park, and you know, it's kind of setting the stage for what the day is going to be, right?
Yeah. You know, I totally agree with that. Like I didn't really think about it until this last trip, but how you get to a park, it matters so much. Like those first 5 minutes in the day, like you said, it really can frame
Yeah.
how the rest of your day goes. Like even if you like it's silly. It shouldn't matter that much, but just having to stand behind, a few thousand other people and yeah, it takes away from the enjoyment.
No, it does
Yeah.
for sure, and it's a good thing to focus on because I think that is an important thing to people. I mean, it's an important thing to people in their daily lives. I mean, my wife hit a deer with her car the other day that ruined her whole day.
Yeah.
That's what happens if you're at the beginning of your day is ruined. It makes it hard to have a good rest of the day. So I think
if you were driving your stroller up to Magic Kingdom and you hit Bambi on the way to the ticket booth, I mean, you wouldn't like that either.
No, you wouldn't. No, we really need to get. But speaking of a stroller, we need to get a stroller sponsor on this show because I need to get myself a free stroller for when I go in June. Did I say that out loud? Did anyone?
Well,
Yeah. What?
If anyone's
Anyway.
interested, let Tom know.
Yeah, it's just if we have any listeners that work for any of the stroller companies, we're willing. Anyway, man, just tangents galore today. But no,
it's fine. But.
No, this is what we do.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad that they're rethinking the security area because if I do stay at Bay Lake again, which I'm assuming someday I will stay at Bay Lake again, it's nice to have a built-in security center there that is a little more efficient and a little easier to get through and makes that benefit that much better.
Yeah, and I could seriously think, when you head there with your little girl, you're gonna be like, being able to walk in and out of Magic Kingdom, like with a toddler, that's huge. Like
that is going to be good.
Yeah.
That is going to be good. This is going to be a whole interesting trip in June. It's going to be like our trial run for the big trip in October because we're going twice this year because we're
Yep.
crazy people. But
we're doing it too. We're going in November.
you do too, right?
So.
Yeah, you're going twice too, so you get it.
Yeah.
Well, now you have all these extra points too. You're going to have to. Well, you don't have them yet, but once you have them, you're going to have to use them. And so I realized I bought new points, and I'm like, wait, I got all these points now. I got to take 2 trips. I can't not take 2 trips because I got to use these things. So, so June's going to be interesting. If there's any listeners out there that have traveled with a 1-year-old to the parks and have some suggestions, please shoot me some emails because I'll take any and all suggestions on this one because truthfully, this is going to be so different for me. I can navigate all the Disney parks, blindfolded as, just my wife and I, but with a kid, it's going to throw a wrench into all the stuff that we're doing. So,
You know what I might recommend?
Yeah.
I watch a couple of different vlogs on YouTube. So there's various people that do Disney vlogs. I'm sure some of our listeners know like of the Tim Tracker and some of those. Like Tim Tracker, he's there like all the time and he's covering stuff going on in the various Disney parks. Another one that I watched that so it's called See a Real Soon, but the real is spelled REEL.
Oh, okay.
So it's their names are Joe and Ashley, and they used to do vlogs before they had kids, and then they had a son, and they took a break for I think until he was like 2 or something like that, and now they're vlogging again. So their more recent vlogs, it's them with their young son going around the park. So that might be something you might want to look into, Tom. Is checking out See a Real Soon because one I enjoy watching them. They're very I mean, well, like anyone who does a Disney vlog, they're very Disney people. They're very passionate about it, and it's fun to watch them and get their perspective on things. But also, it's funny now that I watch them because I see like. I went through all of that stuff with my son, like figuring out how to do Disney with kids and all that, because it does. You're right; it totally changes your perspective.
Yeah.
But seeing them go through all of that stuff and seeing some of the things they did, it's like I remember that. I remember learning that the hard way. You can't push your kids all day, like how you would.
Yeah. You got to take a break.
Yeah, and so some of those things, but then also seeing how they're dealing with some of those challenges too. So yeah. I'm sure some of our listeners would probably recommend See a Real Soon to you if they. I would assume other people here watch some of those vlogs, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I would check them out.
I'll take any resources. I'll take any resources because I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I know all this Disney stuff so well, but it never occurred to me to what I need to do when I take a kid there because when it's just my wife and I, it's just so easy. Yeah,
it's a whole other game, right?
Totally.
And you want to know the funny thing is, so we've been in that mode, like we've been taking our son since he was 4. Yeah. And now we're just getting to that phase where we're able to actually kind of get back to how we used to do Disney. Nice. Because he's now old enough that, we can go longer, he's a little more independent, all that kind of stuff. So it's funny. Like it all kind of keeps going around and around in a cycle. So
well, I've got some time before that happens. So
yeah. You got some good years ahead of you here.
Well, I know the one thing I really want to do is always take a picture and find a spot where we take a picture every time we go and just kind of see the progression, every year, just her getting a little older. That's something we really want to do as a special thing. Cause my wife and I have our own special things when we go. We always go and get the same food thing the second we go into Magic Kingdom, the very first thing we get there. And we have the pictures that we take and certain things that we do that are ours, but we got to make a new thing that's ours as a family. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. I would almost say, so everybody takes a picture in front of the castle, and not to take away from that, because, anybody that watched my vacation video, we obviously did pictures in front of the castle, which, I mean, you got to do it, right?
You got to do it. It's standard.
But my thought is, maybe pick an attraction or something like pick a spot, I don't know, like in front of pirates or something that, means something to you.
Yeah.
And, go to that attraction and do that picture every year. Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because then, also in some cases, those attractions change over time too. So you can kind of see how
the progression of things too there with the attractions. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is really, like, the castle doesn't change all that much. I mean, that's kind of the good thing about the castle is, it's a good backdrop that it is the constant castle. But
yeah, it's a constant. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think my thought on that would be, I kind of wish we had done something like that, but I could probably go back and look through. I'm sure we have, our photos, do kind of show that as well, but. Yeah, I would almost pick an attraction or something to do photos like that.
If only they had a photo spot at the People Mover, which is, for some reason, is a very special thing to my wife and I. So, But anyway.
Oh, yeah, you could do it right by the lunching pad or something.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying they don't have a photo pass person there. We could always, just take it on our phones or whatever. Yeah. But all right.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Wild tangent. They need a photo pass photographer standing upstairs, on the People Mover, taking photos.
That's what I'm saying. That's what they need. Yeah, they need to get one there. That's it. Or have an on-ride photo. That's good too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is or just how other rides, they've got the action photos, but just sitting in the People Mover, I think would be
the transportation of the future.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're way off topic, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I thought this next thing was interesting. And
yes.
I like this idea. And so Disney is apparently testing smart speakers in guest rooms. So for those that are not familiar, Alexa, which is, the Amazon Echo, or Google Home. I'm a big Google person. I've got all the Google things all over my house. My whole house is controlled by Google. So if Google ever goes rogue, I won't be able to, change my thermostats or turn on my lights or any of that. But Disney's testing these smart speakers in Disney rooms. And what I think is cool about this, I love the idea of being able to say when's the next bus coming for Epcot, and it telling me. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if it would be that granular. I would be impressed if they. I mean, I guess they could, because they have it in My Disney Experience already. But I was thinking more it'd be park times or kind of the same stuff that you would search for on the Disney website.
Yeah. Well, they're saying in this article on WDWNT that the speakers are going to be just access to internal information stored in My Disney Experience. So wait times, bus arrival times, park hours, stuff like that. So, or even if you could do like, what if you could do like a, hey, and say, hey, Google or Alexa, whatever. I hope a bunch of people are listening to this and all their assistants just went off. Which, by the way, you can listen to this show on either one of those. So if you tell it to listen to Welcome Home, it'll pop up our last episode. But that's neither here nor there. Just a plug for that. We need to lobby for Disney to allow that in their internal tests here. But I think it would be cool if you're in your room, maybe like during not IllumiNations because that's going away, but like let's say during Happily Ever After, and you can say play the show music for Happily Ever After, and you could listen to the show through the smart speaker. That would be cool.
Yeah,
right?
That would be nice actually.
Yeah, that kind of stuff I think would be really neat. But I also like the idea of just asking questions and have it only having access to Disney park information.
Well, I'm wondering, my first thought was, asking, Alexa, when was the last time I had a Dole Whip? Or like,
I'm sure they would program in some funny responses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be some funny things in there, right? So, and I actually have, I don't know if you've seen this, but I have a Google Home Mini, one of the small ones, and they sell a little stand for it that's Mickey Mouse. So like when you put
really?
it in, oh yeah. Oh, if you guys haven't seen that, check it out. It's really super cool. Basically you put your Home Mini in there and it like kind of props it up and then it puts like ears on it and it looks like Mickey. And so I have that in my, it's really cool. I have it in my daughter's room. I mean, it's, probably the most useless $25 I've ever spent, but it's kind of cool, so they should put them all in that. Although those would get stolen immediately if they did that. So
yeah.
That's the other question. How do they prevent these from getting stolen?
I would assume that they're probably bolted. Like you said, it's probably a holder and they're bolted to a wall or something like that. Because I don't see them, just throwing them on the table and being like, here's a Google Home Mini.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I feel like the wake word for it though would have to be like, "Hey Mickey." Or Hey Disney or something.
You think they would use Mickey, or do you think? Actually, I guess that's the question too. Would they actually have their own voice for it, right? Because like Alexa has its own speaker voice, right? So
yeah, that's true.
I wonder if they would do either a Mickey or
like have Mickey talk back to you too, like answer you in Mickey voice.
Yeah.
Except when like they went for the specific information and the voice would kind of change a little bit,
What,
you know what I mean? Like
really
whenever they do
rude
those things,
is if they decided to go with a Donald, that would be like
that would be amazing.
that would be a great. But then you ask him like when's the next bus and you get like
just like nobody cares.
Okay.
Yeah, he just yells nobody cares at you.
Yeah.
No, I think this is great though. I mean, I think I like when they do things like this. Like I don't know if I would ever use my cell phone to open a door thing, but I like that they have it. Like, I think that stuff is cool to have.
I think the speaker is actually something I would use more than the cell phone unlocking, because when I think about it, that there's some mornings where I feel like me. I'm kind of the Clark Griswold of my family. Like I'm the one that always has the plan, and I'm trying to get everybody else going on the vacation.
Oh, that's me too.
And and so I'm checking the bus times and going, we got to be out there in 10 minutes, guys. So I think I could see myself using it. Yelling at, "Hey Mickey, when's the bus coming?" So that to get everybody else moving.
No, I like it. I think I would use that all the time, and I think it's become so commonplace in just our society that to have these things in your house, I think would just become second nature for people to do that. So you would ask all those different things, and I don't know if they're planning on incorporating any room control into that too. Where you could turn the lights on or things like that. But I think it's a smart idea by them. I hope they do this. I hope it goes well. Right now it's testing at the the Yacht Club.
Yep.
So this, just so everybody knows, this is not a DVC thing yet. It's just at the Yacht Club. So, some point. But I think it would be cool if they did it, as long as people aren't stealing it.
Yeah.
People will find a way to steal it, let's be honest. But
that's a lot of work for,
a $30
speaker.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, well, this is cool.
Anyway.
I'm excited for this. So there was a lot of like random Disney park stuff, and sometimes we do this. We do our Disney Parks Roundup where we just kind of go brief on a couple different topics that are out there. So you want to go over this first one? This is a Disneyland one, so you can.
Yeah, these are actually good.
No, these are cool, right? These are good stuff.
So the first thing is that the Lion King celebration is coming to California Adventure. So this summer in California Adventure, they'll have. They're calling it a vibrant celebration inspired by Disney's new upcoming live action film, The Lion King, which that part seems kind of funny to me because it's like, okay, we know, like, The Lion King's not new. Like,
no, it's not a new thing.
and just so everyone's clear, this is not Festival of the Lion King. So Festival of the Lion King is its own thing in Animal Kingdom. But this is good though. I'm glad that they're bringing more of this to California Adventure because California needs this stuff. That like they have a couple of shows. Actually, the one show that they have that they don't have in Florida is Mickey and the Magical Map, which is a very impressive show in and of itself.
And Frozen too, right? They don't have the Frozen show at Disneyland. They don't have it Disney World.
In Disneyland. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, wait, no. Anna and Elsa are there, but yeah, no.
No. Yeah, no. There's the Frozen sing-along at Hollywood Studios, but there's like a legit Frozen show at Disneyland.
Yes. So yeah, that's the thing is, they have a couple of those shows, but I think, there's still more stage shows in Florida than there is in California. So I'm glad that this is making a show there. And of course, it's nice that they are also taking some of the live action films and integrating them into the parks, because I think the thing is for every movie that comes out, the movies have their own fans, and everyone kind of expects, because you like the movie that, the stuff from the movie is going to automatically appear in the park. And then the last example I can think of is Moana, where, people were expecting there to be like Moana stuff everywhere. And it's like, it's in the Polynesian, like there's the Moana Mercantile, but it's not as prevalent as you would think it would be. Yeah.
They had a Moana meet and greet briefly, but I get the feeling they might've had a hard time casting that one. Just a guess. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird because it seems like so many of those things feel like they would make sense. Like, it's like, well, why don't they just, change this thing out for, the new thing? But yeah, I can also see why they don't want to be doing that, because that's a lot of money to switch these things out. But
so this is going to be like a more of like a streetmosphere type show though, right? This is not like a stage show from what I'm seeing. It looks like this is going to be people just kind of wandering, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I thought it actually was in one of the theaters, but okay. So yeah, you're right. It is,
right?
Yeah. So it's, they get everybody out and they do they have the people on the street doing the performances and stuff like that. Which again, it's not on the same level as like Festival of the Lion King, but
very few things are.
Yeah. But still, again, knowing even how they do those, like the streetmosphere things, like it's still going to have, I'm sure it'll have a fair share of, the lighting and the music and everything. Like they're still good at doing those as like, even if you're standing in the middle of the street, it feels kind of sectioned off and, a show worth stopping to see. Right. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you form like a little semicircle and you just stand around them and, you form your own little theater in the street. So yeah, no, I think it's cool. I'm glad that they're bringing something like that there.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, for those that are going to the West Coast, you've got there's actually a lot of stuff there. I'm thinking I need to actually plan a trip back to California here in the next year or two, because there's enough stuff that's happened that
enough new stuff that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe you should wait for like that Marvel Land to open that they're building.
I was going to say that. I was thinking, Marvel Land can probably be done because Bugs Land wasn't doing anything for me anyway. So,
oh man, we're gonna get more angry emails.
I'm sorry for anyone who likes Flick, but I just couldn't stand it. It was not fun. Like,
no. Yeah. I haven't been there, so I don't know anything. So, so I know everybody's probably Riviera'd out at this point because we've been talking about it a lot, but blame Disney for that because they keep releasing things like a little bit at a time, just like little bits and pieces that we get. And so then every time we do a new podcast, there's new stuff to talk about. So one of the things that they just announced is a new lounge that's going to be part of the Riviera called the Voyageurs Lounge. And I think the description of this sounds pretty cool. The description for it, and this is from the Disney Parks blog, inside this fun lounge at Disney's Riviera Resort, you'll be able to experience an artful little gathering place where you can relax and share your favorite vacation memories with family and friends, featuring decor inspired by a collection of book titles that Walt Disney gathered, including Walt's 1935 European Grand Tour. This lounge will showcase some of our unique Disney connections to Europe. So, I mean, sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's a neat little area.
I've said this before. I love this kind of stuff. I love when they put up the little details about things regarding Walt and where he got his inspiration from and all that. I hope even I hope that they even cover off like where he got the inspiration for Sleeping Beauty's castle, because there is an actual castle in Europe that he went and visited to get the inspiration for. The name of it totally escapes me. I should know this. I'm terrible.
I feel like this is a piece of Disney trivia that we should know.
Yeah, but I definitely know it's a real place, and I wouldn't be surprised if those kinds of things come up in like some of the decor that you see in this place. Yeah. There's another side of me though that when they start describing all of this stuff, and I know it doesn't even make sense in my head because they're talking European, but I keep secretly in my head wanting this to be the Adventurers Club that was in
yeah.
Oh, what was that place called? Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island, yeah.
Yeah. Because it had that very 1930s kind of look to it, but it was all like jungle and tropical and all that, and I know this isn't going to be that. I know this is going to be stuff about Walt, and I love that. Like I know I'll appreciate it. I know my wife will love. Like this is the kind of place that she'll want to go as well, because she loves seeing all those old pictures, seeing all the just getting those glimpses into the things that formed Disney, like Disneyland and Disney World. So yeah, I'm excited that they're putting more of that stuff into these restaurant type atmospheres.
No, I totally agree, because I think one of my favorite parts of Disney parks is the little details, right? It's the small stuff that you notice. And for example, I know I've seen a lot of people in Facebook groups do not like the Abracadabra on the boardwalk, the magician theme bar. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been there or not.
No, not yet, but it sounds cool. I love.
That's the thing.
Magic.
I loved it. I thought it was great. And I've seen so many people complain about it. And I'm like, I love this place, because I sat down there, I looked around. It was very cool when I looked around. And then I asked the waitress to tell me some stuff about the place. And some of the details that are in that bar are incredible. And that's the kind of stuff I love, is that there's a lot of things in there that unless you asked or paid really close attention, you would never know. And that's why it's amazing, right? Because and there's that kind of stuff all over Disney parks, and that's part of the thing. One of the things that I really like is discovering some of that stuff and discovering some of that detail and some of that story, because it's not just a bar; it's got a cool story to it. And maybe it's just because I have a tendency to like the magic stuff. But I just thought it was cool, and it's kind of sounds similar to that, where there's all these cool details and really, really small details that you'll have to pay attention to notice.
And I guess the thing is a lot of people, I hear this a lot, even like, I talk to guys at work about Disney, and they say things about, I don't understand, why the Contemporary Hotel is there. Like I've actually heard this conversation where people go, you've got the Polynesian, which is themed, you've got Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is themed, and you got all these ones that are themed, and then you've got one that is not like it doesn't have an extremely
it's not overly themed.
Yeah, like it's not fantasy themed. The thing is that this is grounded in real world. This is grounded in the history of the parks and the history of Disney. And I guess it's a different crowd, right? It's different people look for those things. And to your point about these kinds of places are great for getting all those little insights and facts and things that you wouldn't even think about. On my last trip when we were there, I had a conversation. So sorry, side tangent. just so everyone's aware.
I don't think we should announce that. I like them. I think people like us for our tangents. So.
but this relates back to the whole reason of why, if you're discounting the Voyageurs Lounge at the Riviera because it doesn't sound exciting to you, I had a conversation with with one of the guys running the ferry boat when we were staying at the Polynesian. So we were using the ferry boat to go back and forth between the Poly and Magic Kingdom. And a couple of times, we got there like it was, getting later into the evening. So there wasn't anybody around. So I took some time to chat with some of the cast members. And so the thing that a lot of people don't know is that the ferry boats are named after different Imagineers or different people that had, a very significant role inside of Disney. And they do have, they have pictures and placards of them to kind of give you that overview of them. But then when I started talking to the cast members, they had extra information about it. Like they know these things. They take the time to learn all these little facts and all these little things about these different people inside of Disney. So not just, Walt Disney himself, but also, these Imagineers worked on this, and I wish I wrote it down now because I was talking to the one guy and I was asking him about the General Joe Potter ferry boat, and he started telling me about how General Joe Potter, like he was in the army before he joined Disney, and like he knew all this stuff about this guy's life.
Wasn't he like the construction manager for Disney World? Like he was like the guy that was in charge of all the construction?
Yeah, I believe so. But like I said,
okay.
Unfortunately,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Well, no. But like I said, the thing is, I wish I'd taken more time to, really pay attention to him. But of course, we were on our way over to Magic Kingdom, which, that's not the time to be doing homework. So,
it isn't?
But,
what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, sorry, I'm not going to retain everything that he's saying because, the Magic Kingdom is right there. But we still had a really great conversation about it. And like I said, these kind of places, they prompt those conversations, and they prompt you wanting to, talk to the cast member and go, what about that picture? Why is this thing on the wall? Right. And you end up finding out all these things that, the whole point of it is, not that you just walk into this place and it's just, a visual representation of something, is that you also get a feeling out of it. Right. And part of that feeling comes from the conversations. And so, circling back to the Voyageurs Lounge, is that this sounds like the kind of place where you'll go there, you'll have dinner, and then if you get the time to look around and look at the photos and where they get all the inspiration from, and then also the people there know about it, and they give you that insight into Disney, you walk out going, you look at the park differently. You look at Disney as a whole differently after having those conversations, because you kind of get that. It's like that inside track, right? Like
well, to your point though, what you were talking about, with being on the knowing like a inside track or being a secret. I had the same thing where at the conservation station back when that was still open. I don't know what they're doing with that. It's just kind of sitting there, but. They had like the little petting zoo area, and I remember we just got in a conversation with one of the cast members there, and it turns out she was the trainer for all the animals there, and she was telling us how they were training all these animals and all the different steps they had to take and all these different things, and it's like, this is like super interesting and amazing, and if we hadn't just started talking to this person, we would have had no idea, so that's why these things are cool.
So just to say again, for everybody that I've seen, like I've seen that comment online where people go, that doesn't look interesting, that it's not themed, it's not, it's not Star Wars, it's not Animal Kingdom, it's not whatever, but I think the merit of it being, sharing a particular part of history, a part of, Disney history, I think that in itself, it'll prompt conversations, and it'll prompt, being able to go there and sit down and look around and go, yeah, I get why they did this, and I get, what the impact of it was on the park, right? Like Like that's what
Yeah.
I'm excited for in this place. Like,
Absolutely.
and I'll use the castle example again. Is, when you know that the castle, or Sleeping Beauty's castle, is based on a real world place, when you go back and look at it again later, so you go and you have dinner at this place like Voyageur, and then you go back into the parks, all of a sudden, it gives you that renewed interest in the various things in the park, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I think it's great. I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited for the restaurant and like the food and the lounge options at this resort. I think they're going to be very nice. So, and so the next thing I had on here is that there's a Coco show coming to the Mexican Pavilion, which I actually think is great.
Thank goodness.
Because yeah, right. Well, first of all though, have you ever watched that mariachi band? Because that mariachi band is incredible.
Oh yeah.
We've stood there watching them for like their entire show. If you guys haven't, if you go to Disney and you go to Epcot and you haven't stood and watched that mariachi band, you are missing out because they are incredible. So this is in addition to. This is not removing them. They're going to have like dancers and they're going to perform music from the movie. They're going to pull people into the celebration with them, and I guess they're going to have like a puppet too of Miguel, so which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think so for those that have been again to California, they do a Day of the Dead celebration in California in California Adventure, and I know this last year they actually had that puppet of Miguel there, so he was the puppeteer, like he plays
of it, yeah.
he plays the guitar and he sings along and all that. So I think that's cool because I don't know about anybody else, but I really liked Coco. Like I thought
I did too.
It didn't hit, or well, at least where I live, because Canada is like the furthest removed from Mexico and Mexican culture. Like it's too cold here for cerveza and all that, but
it's never too cold for that.
yeah, actually that's fair. Yeah, it's but yeah, like even though Coco's not a big thing here, like at least in my household, we all really enjoyed it. Like we loved the whole concept of it. I loved the way that they approached the Day of the Dead and all that, and I'm glad that the Mexico Pavilion, this is again one of those conversations about I wish they would take those things from the movie and throw them into the parks. This is that thing, right? Like I'm glad that they did it, and it's not like Frozen where it's completely wrecking, or I shouldn't say wrecking. It didn't wreck anything, but
no.
Maelstrom was completely redone into Frozen Ever After, and it's not doing that, but it's still bringing it in, right? And it's still you can go to the Mexico Pavilion and that this is there, right? So, and
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, that these mariachi performers, they are fantastic. So I'm glad that they're getting even more stuff to do.
No, for sure, and I would have been mad about this if they were getting rid of the mariachi band and they were replacing it with this, but it's an addition to instead of a replacement of, right? So
yeah.
So that makes me happy because I swear to you that mariachi band is they are so good, and I just. It'll be cool to see this. I definitely think it's a good addition, and plus it doesn't make anybody mad because they're not getting rid of the Three Caballeros ride. So anyway, so let's qualify that with yet. At least though, if they did that, if they replaced that ride with the Coco ride, at least Coco fits a lot more in with actual like Mexico stuff than Frozen does. Because Frozen's a made-up land of Arendelle, and they put it in Norway, even though it's inspired by Norway. At least Coco's taking place at a real place.
Yeah, that's a very well. You shouldn't say that because Coco, like the realm of the dead, is not a real place, but it's based on actual like Mexican culture, though. So
you know what I mean, though.
Yes,
it takes place in a real place.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Wow. All right. So, have you seen any videos of Kevin from Up roaming around Animal Kingdom? Because I actually just watched it today. For those that haven't seen, have you seen Up? Yeah, I love Up. It's one of my favorites, actually.
So I've watched the first 10 minutes of Up, and then I had to shut it off.
It's rough. Yeah, the beginning's rough.
and I know it's a good movie, and but yeah, I just could not get past the first 10 minutes of that movie.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
They bring the tears early in that one. They don't mess around in that one.
Yeah, I'll admit I wasn't in a headspace where I was prepared for it, so it kind of hit me. It hit me a little too hard, and so I was just like, nope. I can't do it. And and yeah, I haven't gone back to watch it yet, but so to that end though, like I do understand what Up is about, and I've seen other clips from it, and I do know who Kevin is. So he's the big giant bird that they find. Yeah.
Well, it's a she actually. Her. So yeah, it's her. Yeah. So I love when they do I feel like they've been doing a lot more of these lately. I feel like it was one of those things where they used to have characters that would roam around the parks, and then they kind of got rid of it for a while, and then now it's kind of making a comeback. You know, like because they had that little robot guy that was not Push, but there was a guy that was like a full robot that was wandering around Tomorrowland for a while.
Oh yeah, we saw him last year.
He's still around, right? I mean, I think he's still around. And then, I mean, they have like the those Muppet characters do a little show at Epcot now.
Beaker and Honeydew.
Yeah, and so they have that, and now they have Kevin just wandering around, Animal Kingdom, which I just love. I love the idea of it. Although, in the movie, and since you didn't necessarily see it, every time he opens his mouth or she opens her mouth, she kind of like does this very distinctive squawk, and I noticed. In the videos, I didn't hear the squawk. Although the articles I read about it, it sounds like they do the squawk. So I just didn't hear it. But I have to say, it's a very convincing looking character, and it's pretty cool. I'm pretty psyched about this. I like that they're bringing these types of things back. I think it makes for a really cool experience when you're just walking down the walkway and you just see a giant bird walking in front of you. I mean, it's very Disney. Like you don't see that anywhere else.
And I think. The funny thing is that I think the reason why they stopped doing that was that for a while, like, how character meets, like, if you go and see Mickey or Donald or whatever, like having those characters walk around at this point, like they just get mobbed, right? Yep. Like you can't have, unless it's part of a show, you really can't have Mickey just walking around because everybody like you would never get him out of the park, right?
Yeah.
And
don't care how many cast members you have pushing people out of the way, you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why they went more like, and again, this is a difference between Disneyland and Disney World. Disneyland does have more of those characters, but I think the thing is that like in Disneyland, actually I shouldn't even say that because I know like there was points where like Mickey and Minnie, they actually did a little dance number on Main Street in Disneyland. So they were with the it's called the Pearly Band, I think it is. Like it's like a.
I'm sure
like
someone will tell us.
Yeah, I believe that's what it's called. But so they actually did a thing where like Mickey and Minnie came out and they did it like they did a little dance number on Main Street and then left. But again, that was still part of a show. The thing about characters like Kevin and whatnot is that like I think it's nice that more of those supporting characters are getting a chance, and I hope that this is a sign of like Kevin's not a main character in Up, like she's part of the cast, but like it's different than having like Doug or somebody like one of the other characters walking around because it's far enough removed that they're not going to get mobbed, but people are still going to look at it and go, oh cool, that's that's that character, right? So yeah, I hope that they're starting to explore that more in all of the parks, that you're going to have more of that natural interaction going on, but where you don't have to line up for an hour to meet a character.
Well, it certainly seems like that's going to be a big part of Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge. Like I said, I'm never going to call it by the real name. It's always going to be Star Wars Land. But it seems like that's a pretty large component of Star Wars Land. It's just these, robots, droids, whatever, wandering around while you're also walking around, and then also other characters just walking around and wandering around too. So I think it's making a comeback, and I think it's a great thing. I mean, I'm psyched about it.
And so I think as well, even with Star Wars Land, is you're going to find that the characters are not going to be any like majorly recognizable characters. Like there'll be characters from the universe, but it won't, like, I think it'll be kind of like Kevin, where they like it's I recognize that guy from the scene in the movie, but it's not like Han Solo walking around.
Well, exactly. Like in Star Wars Land, it's not going to be like R2-D2 walking around. It's going to be some random droid that no one cares about, right? That's that they made up specifically for that situation.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm going to start calling Star Wars Land Batu just to further
Batu.
just to confuse everyone even more, because it is Galaxy's Edge, but the planet that they're on is called Batu, and I think I'll just start calling it Batu, because then just to further add to the confusion.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'll just start calling Hollywood Studios MGM again, and then we'll just we'll call it. I mean, some people still call it MGM. I think my mom still calls it MGM. So, I'm like, Mom, it's Hollywood Studios. It hasn't been MGM.
Is she excited to go on the Great Movie Ride still, or?
I mean, probably. I doubt she knows that it's gone.
That's probably too soon.
Yeah, no, it's and probably Ellen too. Where's that Ellen ride? And it's like, Mom, it's gone. I'm sorry. I just you're not following the news.
When Damon's back, we're gonna get an earful from him for this kind of stuff.
Probably. You assume that he actually listens to us. I want to just start saying, like, talking trash about Damon and see if he actually notices.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, so again, I'm sure, as everyone knows, Damon hasn't been around because he's in the process of moving and he doesn't have actual internet that he can do this with,
or really time. He's busy moving, and so that's an important thing. But he's going to come back on. Don't you worry, he will be back. Maybe we can convince him because our next episode is our 50th episode. I feel like we got to have him for that.
Yeah, that's and that'll be really, like, gosh, we're coming up on 2 years.
2 years, is that crazy?
Because it's holy jeez, it's March already. It'll be March in a couple of weeks.
April was when we started, right? I think it was first week of April. So it's crazy that it's been 2 years. I can't believe it. And we say this all the time. When we see how many people listen to the show, it kind of blows our minds, like, on a daily basis. So
it does. It absolutely does. Actually, I should say this now as we're in between topics here. I posted that video of my vacation, and the reception that I got from you guys on it was, it made me really, really happy that, you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, because, I guess part of the thing is I've always been very apprehensive to post anything about myself online, because I have seen the internet at its worst before. So, sharing myself out there, it makes me nervous. I know it's funny, we're doing this podcast and you guys listening to it, you've gotten to know us for a long time, but it's still been a very specific thing. Whereas, sharing a video of myself and my family it feels a little more intimate to me. Right. And so,
for sure. It's very intimate.
Yeah. I guess I should just say, thank you everyone that you enjoyed the video. I'm glad that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it, because, it is a special thing to me. It's something that I do as my own kind of souvenir for our trips and stuff. But it still blows my mind how many people just, how many of you are as excited as we are about this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's crazy.
It does. It makes you feel like you're part of a community, which is nice.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah. So let's continue on here. I guess we got a couple more things to cover before we finish up. So, again, more Disneyland news. World of Color is coming back to Disneyland, which I forgot that World of Color has been down for as long as it has been. And oh my gosh, like,
that show's amazing, right? I've heard from everybody that show's amazing. Right?
I've seen it, so World of Color is on the same level as Happily Ever After.
Wow.
It is. Like,
it's a really good show. Yeah.
It is. Like, it's... And the crazy thing about it is that the majority of it is done with water. So it's not a fireworks show. It's actually like just how they do the timing on the water and everything. And then also they even use the so right behind World of Color there is Mickey's Fun Wheel, also called Mickey's Wheel of Death for those that have been on it. And
not because anybody died on it. Let's be
no, yeah. It's just it's a very terrifying Ferris wheel. And then so they use Mickey's Fun Wheel and the Incredicoaster for some of the elements in the show. Although I think part of the reason why it's been down so long is because they've been redoing. It was Paradise Pier and it's now Pixar Pier. And if anyone saw when I was in Hollywood Studios, I posted a picture of the billboard that they still have in Hollywood Studios that says Paradise Pier, which is kind of funny now because that place doesn't exist anymore. But World of Color is it's set to come back. What was the date on this? I missed the date on that.
It's like this week, actually. I think it's February 22nd.
Yeah, so like 4 days from when this podcast comes out, and so that'll be, or they have a dessert party that comes with it. And I should also frame too that World of Color it was so good that I actually have a canvas print of it in my bedroom, of because if you look at Tom, you linked from WDW News Today, like they've got a picture of the Fun Wheel and the colors and everything. I've got a picture similar to that on my bedroom wall because like I said, this show is on the same level as Happily Ever After, in my opinion. Like it's something else. Like anybody, like if you're going to the West Coast, this is a show you have to see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, and WDW News Today also, they reported that the reason it was down for so long, it was supposed to be down for routine maintenance, but apparently the submerged table that holds all the show elements was severely damaged during that maintenance. So that's why it took so long to come back, because it's been gone. I mean, it's been gone for almost a year, I think.
Yeah, I figured it was because I know that they were doing all this stuff with Pixar Pier. I figured that the reason that it went down longer than they thought was because like that whole area got an overhaul, and maybe part of that was that they had an accident during all of that.
I think I read somewhere that like somebody left like an electrical box open or something, and then they submerged everything, and then it got flooded. I think I read that it might have been on WDWNT, but I might be making that up. But I think they were doing the maintenance in preparation for that, change with Paradise Pier and everything, and then that happened, and that fried everything, and they had to fix the whole thing. So I don't know if you want to mention anything else about that before we go into our very last topic, because we don't have a rumor today, but
just go watch World of Color.
Yeah, there you go. And we do have rapid speculation though. So, if you've been to Epcot recently, you might notice a lot of construction going on in the World Showcase Lagoon. That is in preparation for the new nighttime show that will be replacing IllumiNations there. And WDW News Today again. We like to give them credit because they do a lot of great work and take a lot of good pictures of things. And they've noticed that a structure is being erected on the island in the middle there, and I'm curious. Obviously, it's for the show, but I wonder what it's going to be. Like, what is that going to be?
So that's a big concrete box.
It is. It's a big concrete box. That's pretty much what it is right now, yeah.
Yeah. I have to wonder, because traditionally the fireworks for World of Color. Oh, my gosh.
IllumiNations.
Get out of California. We're back in Florida.
We're back in Disney World now.
Okay. So I think the fireworks for IllumiNations were all done off the barge, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to say all, but a lot of them were, yes, off
the
world's barge, and off
the majority of
it.
Yeah. So I got to wonder if maybe this is a replacement for that, so that they don't have to rely on the barge, and so that they have a static place they can do fireworks from.
Probably be a lot safer.
That too, because I mean, it's a concrete structure. Like, you don't build concrete unless there's a reason for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it needs to be strong. But I'm also wondering if something's gonna sit on top of it that's part of the show. I mean, I don't know. That could be it too. But again, like looking at this, it kind of messes with the view across the lake here. So I mean, I don't know if they'd build something a lot bigger that would really mess with the view, or unless it's going to be some sort of really cool thing. I don't know.
I feel that whatever they build here, I think by the time they're done, it will jive with the rest of the decor around the World Pavilion. Because even like I know people were getting on the Guardians of the Galaxy building when it was first getting built, but like when I was there, like it was getting painted and everything, and I could see how they were like, even though it's a large building, it's like, and you know, it's sitting next to Spaceship Earth, it didn't stand out because of the fact that they had painted it in such a way that, you know, it kept the sight line somewhat intact.
Yeah, like they tried to like blend it in with the sky and with the surroundings with the paint colors they choose, which
and so
is amazing.
So whatever comes of this, like, I mean, it's never just going to be, you know, a brick box sitting in the middle of the island. I think by the time they're done, it'll either be covered up so that it'll look, you know, more like because you know, when you look at that island is man-made, right? Like it's
that whole lagoon is, right? So
yeah, so I mean, even though the island looked natural, they'll either make it look more natural, or maybe it'll look like a sculpture or something like that. I don't know, but I'm betting that it's going to be fireworks housing.
That's what I was wondering though too. Is like, what if they made it so it was like, I don't know, like the world that's on the barge is there all day. Like they make some sort of cool piece of art in the middle of the lake that also serves a purpose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. Like I mean, not taking the barge. I hope that they've got something new other than the globe. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the globe was nice, but it really needs an update.
Yeah, well, I think the globe is gone. I mean, I don't see it being part of these new shows, which, you know, makes me sad. But at the same time, it was the longest running nighttime show at any Disney park, so time for it to go. You know, but I'm sad about it. It was my probably, I'm not gonna say it was my favorite show, but it was one of my favorites. Just the music and the whole thing, the way it was put together, is one of my favorites. But you know, like I said, I'm for new things. So.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, you know, I had, like, I watched the older shows a long time ago, and I had them in my head for a long time too, but I don't know, the way Disney has been doing things lately, like, I appreciate and I respect the fact that the show is there, but I don't really want IllumiNations to hang around any longer. It's
more hate mails coming our way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like I took, and I guess my barometer for that is when I look at the way my son reacts to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I'll say this is that, you know, on our last trip, we managed to catch Happily Ever After like 4 or 5 nights, and it was the kind of thing, like, even though we were in our room or we were on the ferry or we were in Magic Kingdom, he stopped and he watched it. Like, he was, you know, just absolutely enthralled with it. And so that versus IllumiNations, and I told him, you know, I explained to him, you know, IllumiNations going away, we should watch it. And he was like, okay, fine. And and he did the same thing this time that he did the last time we watched it, is he was like, can we go now? Like it just, watching it now, like it just doesn't, I don't know. It's showing its age a lot more, and there's no amount of like tweaking it at this point, I think, that can really get it back to being what it was when it first came out. Like, no. It's just, yeah. And again, the hard part is when you have a show like Happily Ever After and then you have IllumiNations, it's
so tough to compare. Yeah.
Well, the contrast is so great that you have to. Yeah, they have to do something with it, and yeah,
I still think the new show should be called Epcot Forever, which is the name of that's the name of the transition show that they're building. But, you know, in between the two shows. But I'm like, that's such a great name. They should just call it Epcot Forever. I'd like call it that.
I feel they can do something more clever than that.
Listen, Trevor. Okay, I saw what you just did there.
That wasn't.
A shot at me. Okay,
no, that wasn't. No, I wasn't taking a jab at you. I just.
Can we talk about the irony of it being called Epcot Forever and it's a temporary show? I just want to throw it out there.
That's a fair point.
I mean, let's throw that out there. It's a very temporary show, and it's called Epcot Forever. But that's neither here nor there. Why don't we wrap this up? I think we're getting a little punchy. I think it's time to wrap things up.
All right. Yeah, let's do this. So, okay. Email address. We are at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. So you guys obviously know how to find our email address because we've been getting lots of mail.
We get tons of emails.
But keep it coming, guys. We'll keep saying this. Is whether it's good or bad feedback, we love hearing from you guys because we sit here and we talk, but we need to hear from you guys how we're doing on this stuff. So feel free to drop us an email, even if it's nothing to do with the show, or if you just want to tell us about you've booked Moonlight Magic and stuff. We get stuff like that all the time, and we think it's great. We love celebrating your guys' stuff as much as you follow along with the stuff that we're doing. We
just got an email from a listener telling us that because of our show he got another contract. He wasn't asking a question, he just was sharing that news with us, and I love that. That's great. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing is, I kind of going back to what Tom said earlier about, we are part of a community here. So, we do love to hear from you guys. So, drop us an email if you're bored. We'll read it.
We'll read it. We'll respond to it.
Yeah, exactly. And when are we going to take the website off of here? Or when are we going to do something with the website? I don't even know what we could do with the website. I suck at this stuff. But
it's really Damon's job to do the website. So
yeah. Well, maybe we'll. I guess if anybody has, I shouldn't put this so openly, I guess, but so we do have a website, welcomehomepodcast.com. You can find some very dated information about us on there.
From 2 years ago.
Yeah, we think that, if we could figure out something better to do with that space, we'd be willing to consider it. But it's not an infinitely open thing, I guess, because, again, we don't necessarily have the time to architect a brand new website.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. Outside of that, though, we are on Facebook. I think, Facebook is our jam. That's what we like doing. So you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. If you want to, see the pictures and Instagram stuff, Twitter is Welcome Home Pod. Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. So, anything we post on there that's, photos from trips, stuff like that, you'll see it on those platforms. So it's a good way to kind of keep track of stuff that we're doing. Also, whenever you guys, if you found the podcast through Google Play or iTunes or whatever, leave us a review, because that stuff's helpful. We get a lot of listeners as it is, but we can get more visibility with those reviews because it helps people find the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. We should pop right up. Just a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So if you have any questions, about anything we talked about today, please consult a DVC representative or a Disney cast member for more information and to confirm, anything we talked about today. Join us next time.
Not the bus driver, though. They don't know everything. I know people like talking to the bus drivers, and it's a bit of a joke, but and they're very nice. Don't get me wrong. But
never gonna get angry bus driver emails. Well,
but but if you're asking about when Star Wars Land is going to open, don't trust the bus driver.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, they don't know as much as the rest of us. Sorry, I had to say that.
No, it's true. It's true. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion, and of course more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.